Today, what I want to talk about is how meditation affects how you respond to life in your everyday life. And there's several things that meditation makes a big difference to. The first one is because in meditation we have a focus that we bring our mind to that enables us to step back from our thoughts. So when we're focusing on the breath or a mantra or a phrase or a candle, whatever we're focusing on in the meditation, that enables us to step back and simply observe thoughts. It's as if they just come into our mind, they pass through. We're not getting caught up in thinking them, and then we're not holding them in our mind. We're simply watching them. So the first question is we start to, okay, well, who's watching my thoughts? Because if I'm watching them, that means I'm not my thoughts. So there exists there a feeling of detachment. I am watching or observing my thoughts. And this means that in our everyday life, when we're presented with a situation, especially say an emotionally charged situation or a conflict situation or some sort of a drama, we naturally will find that more often we step back and we detach from being involved in it so that we can see it more clearly, so that that aspect of us that observes in meditation observes what's going on. And this is where through a practice of meditating, you become better able to cope with those situations, to see the truth of what's going on and not be so reactive. Okay, so when we step back, when we focus on the breath in meditation, we are being conscious. So we're directing our consciousness to that breath, to that mantra. And if we're in a situation, we're stepping back so that we're consciously aware of what's going on. When we're just thinking, when our mind is ruled by thoughts, when our thoughts take us here and take us there, we are not conscious. We are unconscious in a way where our thoughts are driving what's going on in our mind. So, for example, say a conflict situation brews. There's in that first 10 seconds, there's a part of your brain right deep inside called the animal part of your brain, your amygdala. And that's very reactive. It's designed for our survival. And that's where the, initial angry responses come from. That's where your reactions come from. And those reactions will come from your past conditioning, from your beliefs, from your values. It'll be a reaction or a response to what's happened to you in the past. And so it's not conscious, it's coming from your unconscious mind. Now, that is a survival mechanism because if a tiger is coming at you out of the wild, you don't want to be pondering what you should do about that and observing the situation. You want to react. Okay, so that's why we have that part of our brain. But if we wait about 10 seconds, and what happens in that 10 seconds, the information that's come into our mind gets sent through to the frontal cortex here, which is the more conscious, self-conscious, more aware, higher functioning part of our brain, if you like. And that is the stepping back, that you step back, observe, think about your response. And that might be the situation where you don't respond immediately. You give it 10 seconds and you suddenly realize that person's in a really bad state today. They're just where they are at. It's actually got nothing to do with me. Do you know what I mean? And we find that we can have compassion rather than be reactive. Or we might see, actually, there's some misinformation here, or there's a misperception. Someone's misunderstood something. And by stepping back, we can then just explain and help to clear up that misunderstanding. And we're responding consciously, proactively, rather than reacting from that survival, lashing out, I'm threatened, I'm in conflict part of us. And when we spend time regularly meditating, if you like, we're developing this capacity to remain conscious, to know how to step into, or like in meditation, when we step back from our thoughts, or when we return to the breath after our mind has wandered off unconsciously, we consciously return to the breath. That's sharpening and developing that capacity to be conscious. And what you'll find is it will just naturally come into the way you respond to life and other people. And what often happens when you start meditating more regularly, you may not notice a change in you so much. Yes, you will feel more peaceful, but other people will notice that you are less reactive. You are more considered. Perhaps you come back to compassion more easily. Perhaps you say sorry more often. Perhaps you take more responsibility for your part in things because you're more conscious. So the meditation is developing that conscious awareness, and you're not ruled so much by those unconscious beliefs and conditionings and all the unconscious stuff that more often than not rules most people's behavior. It's emotionally reactive often, and quite often people are responding. Something happens in life that triggers something that happened to them in the past, and that triggers a fear response, and that the natural response to that fear response is a reactive, protective, instinctual response. And this is where we get, whoa, where did that reaction come from? And people can become quite reactive. So what meditation does is it just calms that all down, and it gives you that capacity to just step back and detach and use, it develops your capacity to discriminate, okay? Because of the way it finely tunes both your energy and your mind, and you open the heart, you become better able to feel, sense, discriminate something that's right, something that's not right, something that's truthful, something that's not truthful. Even if you can't explain why, you just get a sense of it. And you start to listen to that, and you're like, there's something else going on here. I'm not getting all of the information or seeing the whole picture. And quite often, by just giving a little bit of space, it enables this part of our mind to inform us, if you like. You see, if we've got the frontal cortex, we've got the third eye, like the intuition, the heart intuition, the gut intuition. When we step back, we're getting information from all of those sources, not just from our reactive unconscious mind. And so this is some of the subtle ways that simply sitting quietly on a regular basis and giving your mind a focus to come back to. So we use the breath. So coming back to the breath, whenever your mind wanders, which it will, and even the most advanced meditators, it will, you just gently bring it back. And in this way, you're disciplining your mind. Your mind is not so ruled by the unconscious sort of thoughts don't rule you. You start to choose which thoughts you pay attention to, which thoughts you give credence to, which thoughts you give energy to, and those thoughts grow. And the thoughts that no longer serve you, the thoughts you think, no, they gradually wither and lose their power over you. And really, this is what meditation does, is it gives you a choice. It gives you back the power of choice. So I just wanted to sort of give you something to think about, and to understand that by regularly meditating, you are making a very positive difference in your everyday life when you're not meditating.